Hello,
Hello,
lovelies.
lovelies.
Welcome back to our podcast, me.
I'm Minnie.
And in today's show, we're going to be talking about the Israeli Palestinian conflict. And actually, to be precise, I am going to speak to Tia about what's going on in the region and what she knows about what's happening, and also to talk about history a little bit and just have an understanding about what she thinks about if there's a solution or what we should do moving forward, in her opinion. So, Dia, um, do you know what's going on at the moment with Israel and Palestine?
Israel's bombing Palestine, which is the same.
Palestine, not Palestine.
I said Palestine,
Okay, I had
which is
Palestine.
basically the same country, but
Okay, interesting. All right, fine. Do you know why they're bombing them?
because they took over the country.
That's the grand story. But do you know what happened recently?
No.
Okay. So recently, I think it was Sunday, they Israelis were just like it was a holiday or national holiday or something, and suddenly people from Hamas. Do you know who Hamas is?
No.
Hamas is it's a group of political party, and they're also military party, um, who are Palestinians, and they went in and crossed over. They came in flying like with paraglides and stuff, and they went in on a holiday and started to shoot and killed and kidnapped lots of people, Israelis, and they killed about 1,300 Israelis on that day. So that was a big shock for Israelis. Like they were okay, and then one next minute they're all partying and they were having like a beach party or a desert party or something, and then suddenly, Hamas people came in and started to kill them. So that's what happened. And in return, Israel,
Fought back.
said, yeah, well, we're not going to put up with this. So then they started to attack Palestinians because Hamas is a party that
So they're
obviously.
blaming everything on. So Israel's, which is the bad side of people who took over the real country, Palestine,
Mhm.
they're blaming it all on
On
Hamas.
Yeah, so Hamas is just like like in England, there's Labour Party, Conservative Party. Like
Mm.
you don't know, okay? So our leader, who's the prime minister of the country right now? Do you know his name? Rishi Sunak,
Rishi
right?
Sunak.
So he belongs to a conservative party. Okay. So in every country, there are political parties, people that have a belief in how they should run the country and what's going to be the best of the people's interest. Okay. So Hamas is a political party, but they also have a branch which is branch that has military weapons. Anyway, so now Israel's saying, well, they're terrorists because they just attacked us and they killed all the Israeli people, like not all, but they killed 1,300 Israelis. So then they feel like they have the right to now go into Palestine and try and get rid of all the Hamas people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In doing so, they also started to bomb Palestine and,
Palestine's good, right?
well, okay, before we talk about good and bad, I'm just giving you the updates right now about
Mm-hmm.
what's happened. So now they've asked everyone in half of Palestine, half of the West Bank, Gaza, because the area is called Gaza where the Palestinians live. Okay, they live in two areas. They live in Gaza, which is the south, and then they live in West Bank, which is the north. In Gaza, they asked half of the country, half of Gaza, to move and go to the north because they're going to bomb the whole area. They're going to just completely flatten the city down. Okay?
Okay.
Because
So they warned them.
they warned them that that's what they're going to do. And also, what they did is they cut off all their food and, sorry, that's my cat that fell off. Food and water supply, food supply, water supply, electricity supply.
Mm-hmm.
So now everyone in Gaza has no access to water, no access to electricity, no access to food. So they're starving, they're hungry, and they've got no electricity basically.
They can just get water from like oceans, rivers.
Yeah, but
wells.
you don't. Well, you don't drink it like that, do you? Like you can't drink seawater; it's salty. You need
If you want to
sanitized water.
survive, yeah.
What about food? Anyways,
Food, yeah.
so they stopped the food and they stopped the electricity. They cut off the electricity, and then recently,
What do you mean they stopped the food? Like, there's isn't there shops and
well,
stuff?
they stopped supplies. So like once every all the food in the shops
Oh,
end, where they're gonna get
yeah.
more, right? And then they also bombed yesterday a hospital with 500 people. They killed them, children, women who were already sick and
Man.
injured, and some men. So 500 people died. So going back to the history of Palestine and Israel and blah blah blah. So once upon a time in the Middle East, there are many countries. Okay, one of them was Palestine. Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, Egypt,
Mhm.
Iraq, blah blah blah. Okay, and the British people, like some other Western countries, because they were so powerful years ago, they decided that they go around the world and the country that they like, they decide to take over the country. So they go in and say, "Oh, we like this country. We're going to be the boss of you, and we're going to take whatever we like from this country, and we're
Mhm.
going to decide that this country belongs to us, and you people that live in this country have to follow our rules." Okay,
Okay.
so Britain did that to most of the countries in the region. So they did that to Egypt, they did it to Palestine, and other.
Egypt's bombed as well.
Well,
Some of it.
it was not now.
Mm.
Okay, so then when England had control of all these countries, what happened is that the Jews that lived in so the Jews
Mhm.
100 years ago used to live in different European countries. But hundreds and hundreds of years ago, like before Jesus came and
Mhm.
before Prophet Muhammad came, um, they used to live in the area of the Arab world. Okay, so they used to live in
Middle
like
Eastern.
in the Middle East, right? So in the Middle East, there used to be Jews and there used to be Muslims and there were some Christians as well. Okay, so those all three people that lived in that area. However, most of the Jews, they lived, a lot of them over the years started to live in Europe, in America. Some remained in Morocco, some remained in Egypt, some remained in Iraq. There were Jews that lived in
Mhm.
Arab countries. So there were Arab Jews, okay? Palestine was Palestine, but it was occupied. So who had control over Palestine was England. Now, there are some Jewish people that lived in England that had an idea. And the idea is that they wanted to create a country for themselves. So instead of all the Jews being in different countries of the world, they decided
A Jew country for
a
Jews
Jewish
only.
country, exactly. And what did they do? They did some terrorist attacks in England. We're talking about more than 100 years ago. They did a few terrorist bombings. And then the English government thought, oh, this is too much. We don't like this. We need to get rid of this terrorist activity. Let's just shut them up and ship them off. Where are we going to ship them off? They kept like going on and saying we need to go back and go to live in Palestine. So because it was under the British Empire, Britain then gave the Jews, the few Jews that were causing havoc in England,
They just said
the
fine,
land. Just take
just take
Palestine. That's
Palestine.
fine. Just take it. Okay.
Mhm.
So then those
So I have a
Jews,
question just at this point. How
okay,
come England isn't at war as well?
isn't at war
Mm.
with who?
With Palestine, since
So
it let it
so when it
just.
left,
Mhm.
it didn't give the Palestinians the power again. It just handed it over to Israelis,
Mhm.
to some Jews, not even Israel. They handed it over to some Jewish people
But
that
who are
lived in England.
Israelis?
Okay. So then the Jewish people that moved to
Mhm.
Palestine decided to make a country, and they called the country Israel.
Instead of Palestine.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. That's what I meant by the same country.
It's
They're
the
just
same
naming.
country. They just named it
They just named.
differently.
It's like saying England is England.
Yeah. like a
different
different,
accent,
yeah,
or
whatever. Or you can call it
England,
something dirty. You can call it purple,
purple, but it's
but
still
it's
England.
England, right? So what they did is when they moved in, when is
Hmm.
like the Jews moved there, they decided that they're going to call it Israel. Now the Jews that lived in Palestine, the Palestinians,
They
they
were
had Palestinian
they were
passports.
abandoned. They were,
They were Palestinian
yeah,
people, but they were Jewish. But when they
but they were
decided, so the
kicked
first
out.
prime minister of
Hmm.
Israel, so the country
Was
that
a
they
Jew.
decided to make up, called Israel, they had to make a government. So the first leader of
Hmm.
Israel, her name was Golda Meir, right? She was Palestinian. She
Hmm.
wasn't Israeli, and she had to create a new identity, a new country, and that was called Israel. And from that place, Israel existed on the land of Palestine. So it's always Palestine.
And then you said that they locked up all the Palestinians in bathrooms and they couldn't leave anywhere but like bathrooms and stuff.
No, so what the Israelis did, obviously the Arabs in the region weren't happy. They tried to fight Israel's like, what are you doing? You can't just come over and
Hmm.
create a country that
Including the
already exists.
Muslims, right?
Yeah, yeah. So they all had a little issue. Israel wanted to attack Egypt and wanted to attack Syria and Jordan, the countries that are
Hmm.
neighbors. Yeah. So they had like a big war, each of them. They all fought Israel. They were like, no, you can't, you just can't
They
come
all came
here.
together and
Yeah.
said, right,
They
that's
said, you
not
can't just
okay.
do that. You can't just come here and decide that you're going to
So then
take
how
over
come now they
Palestine.
haven't all just come into one big army and fought?
It, that's what you think they should, but
Why has no one done that?
because America
Hmm.
years ago decided that,
Helped.
yeah, helped these Arab countries, well, it helps Israel, number
Hmm.
one, because Israel is most important for them, but to make the other countries nearby shut their mouth and not do any like attacks on
Hmm.
Israel is to pay them money. And because the Arab
Just
countries,
like, here, take the money,
how
stop
much do you
going.
want? You want a few billion pounds? Okay, I'll give you a few billion pounds. But in return,
Billion pounds,
in return,
dollars.
$1 billion. In return, you don't make trouble to Israel. Keep Israel safe. So what the Arab countries next door, what do they
They
do?
did a plot. They got all the money and they used it in a few years' time.
No, they didn't. They listened to America, and they
Okay.
kept Israel nice and safe and snug after they had all those countries had a war with them. When America started to pay them off to give them
Hmm.
money, and they said, "Oh, we'll make you very rich. We'll do lots of business with you, but be nice to Israel. Don't be naughty to Israel. Okay, keep
Hmm.
Israel safe. It's okay." So, but the Arabs were like, "Okay,
Safe.
well, if you take your money, but what about the Palestinians? If we say Israel is okay, Israel's not bad, yeah, and we pretend that Israel's fine. What about the Palestinian people that live there? You still taken their land. What are they going to do? How are they going to continue living?" Oh, we talk about that later. Oh, we talk about that later. And all the Arab countries went, okay. So the
Americans don't talk like
Palestinians,
that, by the way.
well, the Palestinians ended up being just forgotten. So now they live in a country that Israel, there was a law to say that Israel can't take more than half of Palestine.
And they've taken
Half,
up the whole
they've
country.
taken now up all of it. And every year,
There's no Palestine anymore.
exactly. Every year they go in and they literally walk into a Palestinian home and they literally
Slaughter them.
take over their house and kick them out. So imagine our house here,
Hmm. Someone
we're
just knocks
living,
down our
and
door.
someone just opens the door and says, "Hi, I'm going to come take over your house." And you say, "No, you're not." "Yes, I am. I'm going to take over your house. If you want to give it to me nicely, or I can fight you and no one can do anything about it." And you try to fight them,
And then you end up
but
dying.
you end up dying and losing, and then they go in and take your house.
Why
And
do they
that's
want your house? What's so special about it?
what's special about it is that these some of the people in Israel believe that this is their last land. This is the land that God told them it belongs to them. So from
Palestinians think that.
no, Israelis think that.
But
Israelis
why do
think
they
that.
care so much about houses?
because how else are they going to expand,
Oh.
right?
Okay.
But actually, the like Orthodox, like the really strict Jewish people, the ones that live in America and Britain and France, they don't believe in Israel. They're Jewish and they're very strict and religious. They
They
don't
live in
believe in Israel.
Palestine.
They believe in Palestine because they know that God said to them, "You're not allowed to have land anymore. I, the punishment for you Jewish people, for you, is that you."
When this war
Allah
comes,
said, God said to the Jews, like the really good Jews, they know this, that because you've been so naughty for so long, you're not allowed to have a land anymore. That's it. You have to live in different lands. And then, so the good Jews now listen to that. The bad Jews, not bad Jews, but um, the Israelis, they want to go against God. So they're testing God and they're like, well, if you said we can't,
where my tea bag go?
I've been there.
Yeah, continue.
So the question is, this is from a religious perspective, from a historical perspective. They said that, well, if God said, well, you no longer belong, you don't have a land anymore, a few of them, the ones that built Israel, decided that actually God is not important. He's not more powerful. We're stronger than God. We're going against God. You say that we don't have a land, we're going to change the words of the
Like
book.
religious Jews go against.
No, the proper Orthodox Jews, they don't believe in Israel.
I know, but I'm saying
They exist.
you're saying Jews. Some Jews, most Jews took Israelis. They're
Israelis, not
Jews.
Jews. Some of them are, yeah.
They're religious. Why would they do that?
No, they're not religious. They
But
just
if
want to
they're
build.
Jews, it's a religion.
Yeah, but not everyone is. Are all Muslims religious? Are all Christians religious? Not necessarily. But the whole point is they want to create Israel because they're going against what God said. God said you're not allowed to have a land. They said, actually, shut up. We can make a land. Astaghfirullah. Do you understand? So they're going against what God wanted. So then they created Israel. And then on that basis, now when Palestinians have been left with a really super small piece of land,
How small?
small, like they're super squashed, like they literally live overcrowded,
Like the
live on
size
top
of
of each
London.
other. No, smaller.
Like
Half of London,
Westminster.
maybe. Half of London, okay? So now they live there. They have no access to good hospitals, good education, good houses, good jobs, no money, none of that, because Israel tells them what they can and cannot do. So now Israel controls their life. And on top of that, they get bombed by Israel randomly at any time. And then they go in and they shoot them as well, randomly at any
Even
time.
kids.
Yeah, there's a story called got a little boy called Muhammad al-Durra. This was maybe 20 years ago. They were like Palestinians were like trying to go to the mosque, Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the Jewish soldiers were fighting. And this little boy, he was maybe 9 years old. He was with his daddy, and his daddy was hiding him. He was like, please, please don't hit my son. Please don't hit my son. And at that time, there was actually a cameraman, a journalist, recording the fighting. Yeah. Palestinians used to get little rocks and throw rocks because they don't have weapons. Okay. At the big guns, Israelis. And then an Israeli military person, while his dad was hugging him like that, and you see it on live TV, Israeli shot him like that.
The kid.
The kid, and he died in his dad's hand, and the whole world saw that.
Can you, is it still recorded?
Yeah, of course you can. Just Google Muhammad al-Durra. And many stories like of kids being like burned, they die, they get killed, slaughtered.
Bombs.
The women, the fact that they're in an open air prison, like it's literally a prison. They're
Prison,
not
but with
allowed to
a
go in.
prison without bars.
Exactly, it's prison without bars. They're not allowed to go out. They're not allowed to go in. They can't have a good career. They can't have a good job. They can't have a degree. They can't have anything.
Mm.
And they're told how much to eat, what to wear, where to go. They control everything
It's
for you.
literally a prison.
So
In
they are
prison, you have to wear
born,
that orange thing.
exactly. So they're born in an open air prison in their land. And then obviously, when an attack like this happens, like the one where they killed, when Hamas killed those Israelis, the whole world says, oh, poor Israelis. Oh, they shouldn't have done that. They're killers, they're murderers, they're terrorists. But everyone's forgotten the actual reason why Hamas and Palestinians do this. And the actual fact
Why?
is, this land belongs to the Palestinians. They came in,
England.
this land, Palestine,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
belongs to Palestinians, doesn't belong to
Yeah,
Israel.
I know that.
Israel created a land, took over a country that isn't theirs, and
But why did they want it in the first place?
because it's part of their plan, their plot is that they need to exist against the will of God. They want to exist between
So
Iraq and
Israeli
Egypt.
people just thought, oh yeah, let's just take over Palestine.
Yeah. Well, England said, well, we have to get rid of them because the Jews that were living in England
England.
was causing too many issues. They were bombing, they were doing all these terrorist attacks on English people. So to get rid of them, and the Holocaust happened, where all the Jews, where Hitler burnt all the Jews, some of
Who's
the Jews,
Hitler?
a dictator, and he burnt all the Jews. So then all the European people in the whole world felt really guilty for those Jews that died. So they decided that they're going to always forever support Israel, even though Israel is now committing genocide.
What's
Eth-
genocide?
so genocide is like ethnic cleansing, when you clean the whole society, like the whole community, you wipe them clean because you don't like their color or where they belong or their religion or whatever it is. And that's what Israel's doing. They're trying to get rid of all the Palestinians so that there is no longer Palestinians in Palestine.
Okay.
That's the story. However, people don't hear that story. They hear the media like BBC and ITV and CNN, and that is controlled.
So what BBC says is wrong.
Absolutely. It's not.
Isn't the BBC supposed to be like? Isn't news supposed to be like honest?
No, it's not honest. They have an
It's about
agenda.
what happens in the world.
No. They have an agenda. So they have.
But mum, news is about what happens in the world.
It's not the accurate description of
I
what
know, but
happens.
you're not listening to what I'm saying. It is about what happens in the world. So when it says Palestine has been bombed by Israelis, that is a true fact.
Not necessarily, because yesterday they said that the bomb that hit Palestine was actually by Hamas when it was actually by Israelis. So
Hamas is.
the Palestinians. So apparently Palestinians bombed themselves. That's what they said. That's what they said. They also said, the media also many times, and in all the wars, they also said that they burnt babies alive, and they showed a picture of a baby burnt, but that turned out to be AI, artificial intelligence. It's not even true.
Palestine's burnt a baby.
Yeah, that's what
Why
they
would
said.
they burn one of their babies of their
No,
land?
Israeli baby. They're saying that that's what they did. They're
Why?
criminals, because to
It's
make
not like
people
okay,
because to
but
make people, when you see an image of a burnt baby, it's going to make you angry. And you're going to be
mhm.
like, these are animals, these are not humans, how can they do that to a baby?
They
It's going to
actually
make you
put a picture of a burnt
in the
baby.
newspapers. Yes.
That's not even appropriate. Anyway,
Okay, but the point is, they did that. Why did they do that? Because, like you said,
to
it's
get
inappropriate
attention.
to get you emotional, to get you angry, and to make you want to hate them and support and empathize with Israel. Okay, even though they are not accurate facts, they are not true. Do you understand what I mean?
Mhm.
That's why the mainstream media like BBC and CNN and the newspapers and the Guardian and all of those telegraphs, the Sun, the newspapers, they're not telling you the accurate truth, the 100% truth. That's not what you. They're not. So you need to be very careful with what they tell you, because what they tell you, don't take it as like.
But remind me what Hamas did at the very beginning.
So Hamas last week went
Mm-hmm.
went into Israel that has really high security, really strict. They have spies everywhere. They have the highest technology. They
So
went.
Hamas are good.
Hamas are Palestinians. They went on a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
They came in flying in from the air.
Hamas came in.
Yeah.
Bombing Palestine.
Hamas bombed Israelis.
Oh, okay. They
Okay.
didn't bomb the Palestinian side
No,
of
they
Israel.
bombed Israelis.
Okay.
And they came in for about 6 hours, and the Israeli military, had no idea what was going on. And Hamas killed 1,300 Israelis. Okay. So they killed all those people in one go. And that made Israel and the world very upset, because that's innocent lives. Like, they killed innocent people at the end of the day.
Did
So
they?
yeah, they did.
I thought they're bad.
Ya binti, no, my darling.
You said Israel people
It depends
are
on
bad.
which side you see. Some people say Palestinians are bad, Hamas is bad. Some people say Israelis are bad. I'm telling you the
Israelis
facts.
are bad.
I'm telling you the facts. The fact is, Israel existed on a Palestinian land. There is no Israel before Palestine. There's always
I
been
know.
Palestine.
I'm saying you said that Hamas bombed Israel.
Yes, they did. No, they didn't bomb them. They killed and kidnapped Israelis.
Is that good or
That's
bad?
that they did something bad, because they kidnapped and killed innocent Israeli people. They didn't do the police or the military or family. Do you understand what I mean?
Okay, I got it now.
They killed innocent people that were just partying, having a good time. They killed them. Okay? Do you understand?
Yeah.
Right? So that makes anyone angry, because they're not in war right now.
Okay.
But for Israel,
See, I thought war stopped like many years ago. I didn't know war
they
continued.
want they want to they want to create another war. So Israel wants to now get back at the Palestinians for doing this. So they decided that they're going to wipe out all the Palestinians and kill
So
them
why would
all.
Hamas do that in the first place? Just to start a war?
Because Hamas has been trying to, Palestinians have been trying to get their rights, get anyone to say
So it's
hello, we're
confusing.
suffering.
Palestinians are bad and Israelis are bad.
In this particular situation, what Hamas did was bad, but overall, Palestinians, they're just living in misery, and Israel is just exploiting them and maximizing their gains at the expense of the Palestinians, and
But
Palestinians are
why
suffering.
But then to make the war just shorter and simpler, why can't Israel just kill Hamas? Why do you have to kill the whole of Palestine?
Because they said that the Hamas.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but
it just
that's
doesn't make
what.
sense.
So for them,
Why'd they have to kill innocent children?
so for them, they say that to get to kill the to kill Hamas, they need to go into Palestine, and because they can't find them, they look like normal people. They don't wear special military clothes, but because they don't know, so they're gonna have to kill random people. Hopefully, one of them is going to be Hamas.
Okay,
Do you understand?
I
That's
understand
it.
the story now.
So this is the mess that we're in right now. Basically,
Let's hope the war doesn't come to England.
let's just hope the war doesn't come at all, and that they find a solution to this problem. The solution was that Israel and Palestine live together in peace, but that's never happened. What do you think?
I think they should.
That's the story. See you guys.
Bye, lovelies.